Welcome to Women in the News, a Georgia Win-List presentation in video and podcast formats, which examines current events through the eyes and perspective of our endorsed winning women and progressive allies. I'm Melita Easters, Georgia Win-List Executive Director. We're happy to have you join us for this 2021 debut of a program we hope to continue offering on a regular basis. We are thrilled to now be living in a Georgia which is a brighter shade of blue, represented by 2 Democratic United States senators, with 3 Democratic United States congresswomen joining the 3 long-serving Democratic men. Our endorsed women, those who won in 2020 and even those who lost their races, campaigned tirelessly to make wins for Jon Ossoff and the Reverend Raphael Warnock possible. These wins prove a rising tide lifts all boats. Can't wait for the 2021 local elections this fall and the 2022 statewide and legislative election cycle, when we expect to once again see record-setting numbers of women candidates. This week, we talked to most of our newly elected WIN-endorsed women taking office Monday, January 11. As a reminder, 4 of these women flipped seats, the largest number of Democratic flips this cycle nationwide. As the General Assembly convenes, there will be 45 WIN-list endorsed women serving. Women will comprise 31.35% of all legislators, and Democratic women will outnumber their Republican colleagues 3.6 to 1. Our long-serving legislator friends like Senator Nan Auroch, who was first elected to the Senate in 2006 after serving 10 terms in the House, have always encouraged our work to recruit, train, and elect women by asking us to send reinforcements. She explains what the fresh faces of our newly elected women bring to the rooms where it happens.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Melita Easters. Thanks to Georgia Win-List for the work that you've been doing in the trenches for really going into, I believe, your 3rd decade now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And what a difference it has made. When I first came into the legislature in the late 80s as a House member from here in Atlanta, women were an afterthought and a brush aside for the most part. I recall, I believe we were at 12% of the legislature in the late 80s. And I cannot tell you what a difference it's made as we have built our ranks. And we've built a women's caucus in the legislature that launched in the early 90s. And we have been so positively impacted as the women have come in larger and larger numbers. And I was just counting up at our Democratic caucus in the Senate, 14 of our 21 members are female. We had 4 women joining our ranks just in this recent election, all of whom were endorsed by Georgia Win-List. And the age range, we have such young, vibrant women coming with new ideas, skill sets, and vim and vigor. And you literally have to run to keep up with all of the initiatives that the new young women are bringing to the table. And we meld and we work together and we build the Women's Caucus, and which was started, to have women be effective as legislators and have women reach out and urge more women to come into our ranks and fight for women-friendly policy in Georgia. And Georgia Win-List has provided this vital pipeline of women from all across Georgia that's been built. And it's not an easy task. It's not been something that you snapped your fingers and made it happen. It was relentless and ongoing and bringing new, incredibly exciting talent. We have a doctor and a faith leader a woman from the business community and in our ranks, newly elected. We're a third of the Georgia legislature now, and growing. And when you look at the people that are working in campaigns and are being groomed, the next generations, those of us who've been in it, it really inspires the newer generation, and women are winners at the ballot box. Voters look to us as people who will communicate with them, who understand their lives and their challenges, and who will stand up and fight, and not be making sellout deals in the back room, but will be transparent communicators and public servants. And I really think that is our reputation, and it's rightly earned, and it makes all the difference. I mean, as you can well imagine, as long as I've been in both the House and then now in the Senate, the change that I've seen is just dramatic. And I absolutely know if we didn't have Melita, Georgia Win List, which you have led for so long, and I remember our founding breakfast that we had many years ago. If we hadn't done that, and if this Georgia Win List effort had not been built up and funded and led by wonderful women that you brought onto the board, who are not in a position possibly to run, but also some of their board members have turned around and run for office and made a tremendous difference. And that's going to continue happening. I just cannot wait to engage with the new women that are coming in. And we start our session, we're on the eve of our session launching for 2021. It's going to be challenging, but it's going to be greatly enhanced by the new talent that's coming from women the Georgia Win List have vetted, trained, and supported to come into our ranks.
COVID-19 has dominated headlines for the past 10 months. Two of our newly elected women are uniquely able to offer a medical perspective about pandemic policies. Columbia University trained Dr. Michelle is a practicing anesthesiologist who balanced her medical practice with the demands of the campaign season. She taped many COVID-related educational videos during the campaign and since. Dr. How did COVID impact your campaign for Gwinnett's Senate District 48, and how has it changed your preparations for serving under the Gold Dome?
You know, I really think that there is no way in which COVID-19 and the pandemic hasn't affected the kind of campaign we ran. I think that probably any candidate would say that. But I think that for my campaign in specific, because we did from the very beginning, even before COVID, plan a platform that was based on increasing access to healthcare and based on healthcare equity, that if anything, the fact of the COVID-19 pandemic really strengthened our platform, and maybe more pertinently, it made it less abstract and more real for people why these issues are important and why it's so important to elect legislators that can work on these issues, right? I think before, you know, when you're talking about issues like Medicaid expansion or, you know, access to healthcare, racial healthcare equity, these are all things that people understand in an academic sense, and they can understand, oh, it's good to work on these things, but really not until the entire world has been held hostage or captivated by this public health crisis that we're all a part of, has it been as intimately familiar to us how exactly all these issues affect each of our lives. So I think that no one wishes that this pandemic would have happened, but I do appreciate the ways in which it has elevated the topics of public health and made very clear why these issues are important to fight for.
What has been the reaction to your victory from your medical colleagues, and are you looking forward to being a medical voice at the tables where policies are set?
I'd say when I started to run, especially in the beginning, the most common reaction I got from my colleagues while I was at work at the hospital, you know, in the lounge while you're just chatting, is a sense of disbelief. You know, I think most people kind of saw it as not to be in an unkind way, but they almost saw it as a fool's errand. They felt, why would you possibly want to devote so much of your time and effort towards something like this, especially when you're a physician or a healthcare worker. The work that you do at the hospital and with patients is already very meaningful, so people feel, you're doing good work now. Why would you take yourself away from that? And why do you think that this seemingly very frustrating job is worth your time? I think over the course of the campaign and over the course of this election cycle, people have really come around to the sense that having a voice of healthcare expertise, having a voice of science, having a voice with public health knowledge is incredibly valuable in shaping policy. And I think that more and more people have come to see that while politics may be slower paced and more frustrating than the work we're trying to do, it is a worthy endeavor, and that the more people we have at the table to represent the interests of science and public health, the better off our population would be. So in the end, it really is an extension of the Hippocratic oath we all take when we become doctors. The first part of that oath is first do no harm. People have probably heard that before. So part of the harm I'm trying to avoid is to not be engaged and to not step up and try to fix the problems that we see just because we think, oh, it's not in my wheelhouse, it's too hard, it's too big. I think it's a harm of inaction. So I think stepping up and serving in this role is an extension of, frankly, being a physician.
WinList proudly endorsed Rhonda Taylor for House District 91, a DeKalb and Rockdale County district where the former representative first withdrew his name to escape a residency challenge and then switched to the Republican Party. When she had no opposition, Representative-elect Taylor put her volunteers to work, helping elect other winning women. She brings a get-her-done attitude from decades of community work, including the coordination of community outreach for 26 AME churches. Representative-elect Taylor, how will serving in the General Assembly be different for you? And what are you doing to prepare?
Hello, and thank you, Georgia WinList. Isn't it a great day? It is a great day to be a Georgia Democrat. And I am so grateful to have been a part of this historic election cycle. And on Monday, I get sworn in as the state representative representing District 91. Yes, I am so excited, but I'm also anxious to get to work. There are so many issues that we need to address. And so I am ready to get started.
Representative-elect Taylor, what are the issues you hope to become an advocate for?
Well, among them would definitely be criminal justice reform. And I say criminal justice, but I really mean justice, because justice means equal. It's equivalent. And we need to regard each other as such. And that's where it starts, human to human, person to person. We're all made of the same cloth, and no one is better than anyone else. And when we learn to respect each other and to accept each other's differences, and we learn how to work together in spite of, it makes the world a better place. It really is that simple. But criminal justice requires that we also understand the line of power. And we need to understand how to get along with that line of power as well. And so if that's where we start, that's where we start. Because we need to bring about a community of communities again. We need to be able to know who it is that is out there patrolling our streets. Can we call on them and they come to our rescue? We need to feel comfortable and safe in our own neighborhoods. And law enforcement needs to feel comfortable with us as well. Also on that list is a livable wage. That is just a pet peeve of mine. It is just atrocious that in the richest country in the world, there are millions of families who go without, who cannot afford the basic necessities, though they work 40 hours a week. Unacceptable. So I look forward to partnering and working with both sides of my colleagues to make sure that we bring about livable wages here in Georgia. Because when we do that, it helps everyone. It makes everyone change their attitude, their persona, their posture, because we're making it. We're all in this together. And so economic development is one thing, but definitely helping to increase and pass a bill that would provide livable wages right here in Atlanta. Now, my pet peeve, my passion rather, is women's rights. I want to advocate for the right to choose your own healthcare needs. I want to fight for the right for women to have equal pay. I want to fight for women to work without being sexually harassed. I want to fight for women to be able to feel confident about themselves and walk out in front of the world and say, I am woman. I'm running for Congress. I'm running for State House. It is an amazing feeling when you accomplish your goals. And women are the bare bones of this society. No man cometh to this earth but through God and woman. And we have the power, we have the strength, the tenacity to do anything that we need to do. And so collectively, I'm looking forward to us organizing and coming together and making sure that that is an issue that we embrace and address in this upcoming legislative session. So I look forward to working again with my colleagues representing the 91st District, but also working for the betterment of all of us here in this awesome state. Thank you again for having me.
Shay Roberts first ran for House District 52 in Sandy Springs and came close in 2018. Nevertheless, she persisted for 2020, raising great sums of money for a well-organized campaign. An attorney and mother of three, she brings an optimistic outlook and winning smile to all she undertakes. Representative Roberts, please tell us how it felt to flip this seat and what you're doing to prepare for serving in the General Assembly.
You know, after I worked so hard for 9 months, and that loss was hard for sure, only losing by 1,200 votes, but then to kind of roll my sleeves up and get back in there and try again, it was very satisfying to finally get over the finish line. I know personally I felt really great setting an example for my daughters of what it's like to lose and deal with that failure, but then decide that you're not going to let it hold you back and you're going to get back in the game and finish what you started. And then to have that success, it just really, really helped a life lesson for myself and for my girls, I think. And so I'm thrilled and honored to be heading down to the Gold Dome to serve my community and my state. And it's such an exciting time to be a Democrat in Georgia today. As far as preparation, you know, once the results were definitive, the phone calls start coming in and the appointments being requested to meet lots of different groups and constituents. So I've been doing a lot of Zoom calls. I've been doing lots of different trainings. And then I've joined the Georgia Democratic Caucus's Policy Committee. So we've been working really hard to kind of come up with our proactive platform of policies for this coming legislative session.
Representative Roberts, after winning your own race, you and your team worked tirelessly on behalf of the Ossoff and Warnock ticket. Please tell us about those efforts and how it felt to see them win earlier this week.
Well, I mean, my particular House district led the state in the November election for turnout all the way through, and we came out again this time. We were dropping literature on doorsteps and knocking doors and making phone calls and texting and really sign waving. I mean, the excitement after being kind of tired from the November hard fight, it was amazing to watch all of the volunteers up here in Sandy Springs, North Atlanta, really keep that momentum going and fight hard, because we knew that we had to get these 2 seats. It was pivotal for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be effective in their new agenda for the country. And I'm wearing my I'm Speaking Kamala shirt because now that we've secured those 2 seats, we are definitely going to be seeing our first female VP speaking a lot and breaking some ties and really helping us turn this country around for all of the country. And so I'm thrilled. I mean, I've been doing a happy dance all morning when I woke up.
Our other persist candidate from 2018 is Regina Lewis Ward, who earlier served on the Stockbridge City Council and will now represent House District 109 in the southern suburbs. Her new form of public service follows a decades-long career as a government employee from up north before she retired to Henry County. How did it feel to win, and what are you doing to prepare for taking office, Representative Lewis Ward?
So much, Melita, for inviting me this afternoon to talk with you about what I've been doing since I have been elected. And again, I want to thank Winlist for all of your support and help during my campaign in 2018 as well as in 2020. It felt amazing to win on November 3rd. It felt like all of our work that we had done, it was not in vain. I also felt like the voters made a choice, and they're looking forward to something different from their representative in District 109. Since the campaign, it seems like I've been on a different type of campaign, and this campaign has been introducing myself, getting to know the legislative agendas of different organizations and different people. It started out with a biennial conference that the state hosts. And during that 3-day conference, they share with us what a lawmaker does. They share with us the different resources that they do provide for us. And they also share with us our powers as well as the limitations as a state legislature. From there, the House Budget and Review Office offered additional classes, and in those classes we learned about some things that were in session. I've also met with about 3 different mayors who I will be working with. The caucus had several meetings as well. They shared with us what their expectations are as members of the caucus. I've met with different delegations from Rockdale County, Newton County, as well as Henry County. And again, we talked about the responsibilities of being part of the delegation. So it's just been meeting and learning and understanding what's expected as a legislator.
Representative Lewis Ward, what are the issues you plan to focus on during your legislative career?
Protecting working families is definitely a priority to me. We met a lot of parents on the campaign trail who are single parents, and oftentimes they have to make a choice between going to work or staying home with a loved one who is sick. And sometimes that staying home with the loved one may result in them not getting paid. So I'm having them earn a livable wage. As we know, the current Georgia minimum wage is $5.15 an hour, where the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. So that's not a livable wage. Having someone work a livable wage where they will not have to question whether or not they need to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs is very, very important to me. Another priority is education. Education, we know, is the equalizer in terms of moving ahead and having overall well-being.
Sonia Halpern had the quickest campaign turnaround for any of our newly elected women. She decided to run in the Senate District 39 special election when Senator Nikema Williams was selected to fill the congressional vacancy created following the death of Congressman John Lewis. She had 3 months to do everything our other candidates did over a period of 2 years. But Sonia Halpern prevailed in both a 4-person November primary and the December runoff. She brings a long list of civic and business achievements, including an Obama administration appointment to chair the President's Advisory Committee on the Arts, to her new role as an elected leader. Please share what you are doing to prepare for serving your Senate district.
I have had just one short month to really pivot from being a candidate to really thinking about being a legislator and setting myself up effectively for this upcoming session. So the work that I've been doing has really been around crafting my team, pulling together my team and figuring out how I want to be able to both serve in the legislature itself around policy, but also constituent services. I've spent a lot of time really thinking about touch points and making sure that I can respond quickly and well to questions and just really provide information to the constituents of my district. So I've spent a good bit of my time really thinking about that, and I've also started to think about legislation and what might be coming up in this upcoming session and how I would want to put forward ideas, but also just show up.
Senator Halpern, have you identified specific issues you hope to focus on during your legislative career?
In my campaign, I said all along that issues of equity, access, and opportunity was really my platform, my simple platform, and that, of course, remains true. And I do think that issues of economic equity are foundational. And so you can expect to see me doing things around economic development, because I believe as people are able to support themselves and their families, it makes it easier to deal with any other challenges that may come their way. So economic development and also education. All of those two things, I think, really are the pathway to success for everybody. And so that is where you can expect to see me put a lot of my own personal legislative attention toward.
Icy Evans served on the Georgia Windlass Board straight out of law school and became our third board chair before representing the Smyrna area for 4 terms. She was a champion for reproductive freedom, taping a video in opposition to a 2012 bill just hours before she checked into the hospital for the birth of her daughter. She was also a great advocate for the Hope Scholarship, which allowed her to attend college. What does it feel like, Representative Evans, to return to the General Assembly, and what do you see as different this time around?
Very excited to return. There's so much that still needs to be done to help the people of Georgia, and so I'm very excited to get back to work. And what's wild is how much really is the same. And I don't mean that in a good way. I mean it in a bad way. There's still folks that lack health insurance. There's still folks that lack access to higher education. Our K through 12 system is still woefully underfunded. Preschool still does not get the respect it deserves or the place on the priority list that it deserves for all the good that it does for students, families, and our budget. There's still much needed reforms needed with regard to criminal justice. We all know that there's still plenty of voting reforms that need to be done. So it's been several years since I've been there, but I feel like on the major issues, there's still a ton of work to do. And the part that's different this time is that there are more Democrats there to do the good work that we know that needs to be done, and certainly more women. And so I'm excited to get back to work and tackle these problems.
When you served before, Republicans were firmly in control, and during reapportionment, 6 Democratic women were drawn out of their districts. Now that Georgia's tide is turning blue, how does it feel?
I am certain that reapportionment is going to be the ugly process that it always tends to be, and that's unfortunate. What I think, though, is that the Republicans are going to find a lot less districts that they're able to mess with and not also hurt themselves. So it'll be very interesting to see how they tackle this. I think the best they can hope for, at least in the metro districts, is to draw multiple Democrats together to make us fight each other. But I don't think they're going to be able to get any more Republican districts out of the metro area. And I think they know that. They've got their own problems to deal with on the south side of the state, where population is shrinking, and they've got a lot of members that they're going to want to try to keep in the House. And quite frankly, there may not be the population for it. So they've got their challenges. I'm honestly hopeful that Congress will help us out here. There's HR 1 that's pending that would give us independent redistricting commissions. And those, if that bill passes as it's currently drafted, those reforms would go into place to affect any redistricting done from the 2020 census, which is, of course, is the next upcoming redistricting. So hopefully we'll get a little help from our friends in DC to keep our maps as fair as possible.
Thanks for joining us and being part of our inaugural 2021 audience. We will make these programs a regular feature, provided the audience grows to demonstrate a need for such a program. Please help us build our audience by sharing today's edition with friends. It is stored on our Facebook page, our website, and our YouTube channel. Follow Georgia's win list across all your preferred social media platforms to learn about the topics we will cover during the next segment of Women in the News, which is currently scheduled for next Friday. Our Win Leadership Academy program trains women to run for office, and applications for the 2021 class are open through January 15. Please consider applying or encouraging others to do so via the application page on our website. We are happy to say Georgia Win List has built a powerful network of women leaders who have helped turn Georgia blue. Please consider supporting our work with your generous gifts today. As COVID case numbers increase to the record-setting levels across Georgia and the nation, please stay safe and best wishes. As you have a great weekend, please share with a friend or two how to watch this program and join our network. Good afternoon.
Put on